Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. And tonight in the studio with me, it's quite an array of bold colors and I'm loving it. Dee and Sanzi. Hi ladies, how you doing?
Good.
I was going to say, right? Happy holidays. Well, actually, Sanzi is not. She's not observing these holidays because I guess you're still working through the week. Yeah, people in media.
Well, aren't you working? Are you not in media?
I know, right? I'm here. In fact.
But still.
You know, at the same time, the roads are free. There's not a lot of traffic. For 3 days in Lagos, that's a whole lot.
I'm telling you, for the first time in a while, I walked into the studio.
We have.
Really?
I was saying that for the first time in a while, I walked into the studio. I wasn't exhausted. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't grumpy. I walked in quite early. I was relaxed. I was happy. Life is good. I'm like, wow, can it just be like this all the time?
I know, right?
I wish.
Imagine my surprise when I came and I met Diola and Sanzi. I'm like, wait, I came at the usual time. I what's happening here? They are here already. But yeah, that's all good. Yeah, we're having a conversation today speaking about our dear country and the Naira. But then here's what we found as today's quote. The fact that prices go up and never come down is not peculiar to Nigeria. The fact that prices go up and never come down is not peculiar to Nigeria. This is quite apt, isn't it?
Well, it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. I completely agree. But I'm sorry, I'm not from, as at last year when we were having Naira notes crisis, France was experiencing the same thing. But I'm sorry, I'm not from France. Their problem is not my problem. My problem is I'm in Nigeria. I don't have cash. You know. So, and for other people, it seems as though they have this rather transparent or a bit more transparent culture, such that they sort of find a way to handle things and they have a plan for citizens. In Nigeria, it's questionable. What plan do you have for us? If it goes up and it doesn't come down, okay, but what's your plan? How would my life be better?
Yeah. I mean, there are some arguments around the fact that price is actually controlled by the market. You know, it's about the law of, demand and supply. But again, I mean, it could be better if policies are in place, to checkmate pricing within the ecosystem of markets and all that.
I agree with you on that one, 100. There should be policies to actually regulate pricing. But I'm quite impressed because I've been seeing a number of brands putting in price drops. And I'm like, okay, great. I mean, especially brands that claimed during the rise of the dollar that it had affected their prices. Now they're actually switching up their prices. And I mean, I must really commend that for them. So that quote was by Professor Onokoya Adegbeyi. The Central Bank of Nigeria and other financial institutions have increased the dollar supply to the foreign exchange markets by $2.5 billion over the past 2 weeks, which has caused the Naira to rise to 1,200 Naira against the US dollar as we speak. According to the official data from the Financial Markets Dealers Quotation Security Exchange, the Naira closed at 1,300 Naira per dollar on Thursday last week, down from 1,300 Naira per dollar the day before. The Naira is still below its 8-week low, though, as it keeps getting stronger versus the US dollar. It's our ladies' night out, and Adiola, Sanzi, and I are here to discuss the topic, assessing the potential benefits and challenges of a stronger Naira, with Akin Fatsunke. And when we open our phone lines, we'd love to hear what you have to say. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news. You're still watching Ways. Every year, April 9th, we celebrate the International, I'll read that as ASMR Day. Well, actually, it's the ASMR Day. This special day is not just about tingles and whispers. It is the global recognition of an intriguing sensory experience that has captivated millions worldwide. The story of ASMR Day began in 2012, sparked by the curiosity and creativity of ASMR artists like Kelly Miss Autumn Red and Ilse Blancet of Water Whispers. The goal of ASMR is to spread awareness and appreciation for autonomous sensory meridian response.
I mean.
Really? You haven't seen all of those Instagram videos where they're opening a biscuit and then you're hearing the nylon or they're closing the carton and you're hearing all the...
I hate it.
Really? I love it. I love the sensory feel it gives me, actually.
You know, there is a mic, actually. I don't know if you know Hawa. Yeah. Hawa eventually bought that kind of mic that picks all the sounds. I was like, you people hear it today. I'm like, I have misophonia. That's like allergy to certain sounds.
Yeah.
So screeching sounds, chewing sounds.
You can't.
Screeching sounds or the sawing sounds.
So how do people derive joy from watching that?
So for me, I used to work with kids that have special needs, so mostly autistic children and dyslexic children, and you know, a lot of sensory, you know, experiences that we do all of that with them. So maybe that's part of what, for example, if I want to sleep, I love to listen to raindrop sounds.
I like that too.
Yeah, so I love sounds a lot. It relaxes me, depending on my mood. If I'm in a bad mood, sometimes I can listen to drum sounds, and it just makes me feel better. It makes me come alive. So maybe that's why this is a thing for me, though.
It's interesting. I mean,
how in the world drum sounds are the most distracting thing ever?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you listen to ambient music, you get to experience all these sounds, and you know, I mean, you make music out of birds chirping in the wood, in the forest, but I mean, to have a day, I mean, that's interesting.
There's some sounds I can handle, like sound of the waves. I can handle it. Whirling wind, I can handle it. Raindrops, perfect. But not popping sounds or opening or wrapping things and like.
When the content creators, those content creators.
It's annoying stuff.
But I mean, it's great to see that there's a day for the awareness and appreciation of the ASMR. It always makes me laugh when I just see ASMR. I'm like, oh yeah.
You people will hear it today because I have a mic now. You can pick all the sound ASMR.
Okay, okay. I'll start with you, Dee. What did you find for us in the news?
Okay, really sad news. Well, I think the only fortunate thing is I'm not sure that as at this time there's been any loss to life, but I'm in fire raises section of Idumota Market, and this was a fire that was due to a generator explosion. Good thing firefighters were on ground to put it out, but you know, when I was coming, I could still see the dense smoke, and people say that it's still not really like fire, but the whole of that area. And for me, it's just very surprising because just about 2 weeks ago, you know, there was a fire incident, and
yesterday,
it almost feels like this is a regular occurrence, and I don't know what the government is doing. And you know, sometimes when government comes up with a policy to say that some sections of the city or some places such as these, you know, they need to, you know, put a proper structure and all that. We tend to, you know, have a public outcry about it. But, I mean, this can't keep going on because within that market space, people actually live there.
That is right.
So, and I also want to quickly point to the fact that when this kind of fires happen, you know, there's lots of property in terms of millions.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I would say is Nigerians do not believe in insurance. Now, I'm not holding brief for insurance people, but I mean, the insurance sector, they need to look at ways, because I mean, one of the major reasons why they don't do insurance is the high, you know, payment of premiums. And then, you know, you get to just oppose that against the fact that, well, nothing can happen. But this is a recurring thing. So, I mean, insurance sector, they need to come up with products that people within the sector can afford.
Especially in that geographical
Exactly.
Right. But I'm also thinking, do you think the current heat wave we're experiencing is a
absolutely.
factor to this
about
constant
3
fires?
weeks ago, or about a month ago, my generator caught fire.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, but absolutely.
We're just in the house, and then I just heard, Daniel was like, she's hearing them shout fire, fire. So I was like, please leave these people, not knowing that it even had something to do with our generator.
Wow. Can you imagine?
And by the time we went outside, because the bed compounds, cars were parked around there. So imagine what would have happened if
it had been disastrous.
And then imagine there was also a jerry can of fuel around there. It would have been, I mean, so I think the heat actually has a large role in that as well.
Wow, it's terrible.
I tell you.
Well, thank God for a good save.
For tea shops. It's crazy.
Wow.
Sanzi, what did you find for us?
Okay, so I had to go all the way to Edo State. There's a lot of drama going on, and it's about time we stopped, just watching by the sideline, just highlight it, even though that, I mean, Owa, Marianne, and the lots of them, politics lovers, are going to take their time to break it down and let us understand what exactly is going on there. We're going to, get a guest who has a better understanding of all the politics in Edo State. But here is the breakdown for, as though it's a 5-year-old, right? So imagine... President Barack Obama and then Joe Biden, who is his vice president. Joe Biden comes up and says, oh, I'm interested in becoming president. And Barack Obama says, nah, it is not allowed. It is not okay. And so I'm impeaching you, and then I'm bringing who's a young person now? Some young person in the Democrat Party. That's pretty much what is going on. But then there are speculations that it's like a repetition of the drama between Oshimole, former APC chairman, between Oshimole and Obaseki, who is now the current governor. So basically, my story has it that the leader of PDP party in Lagos State, Mr. Philip Ivoji, pardon me if I murdered the name. So he's telling Shaibu that not to worry, not to leave the PDP party, that his ambitions to become president, to become governor of Edo State, despite the fact that he's been impeached by the House of Assembly, that there is still a huge possibility that he could become the next governor. And there's a lot of unfolding drama going on. But I guess the good thing from this story so far is the fact that the new deputy governor, even though he will be deputy governor for a couple of months, because elections are coming up in September or thereabout, at least we have a 38-year-old who is like a record low of who is now the new deputy governor of Edo State. That's God's will or mobile. Congratulations to him. That's the only good thing I see so far from the political hulabaloo.
I mean, that's actually good news. I think a lot of us have actually looked forward to this day. And I like the headlines there, though, saying that Shebu shouldn't give up. He should remain in the party, and he just might. And you know how people can be in terms of sentiment and whatnot.
We like the underdog.
Do you understand?
But
so I really look forward to it.
It's beyond that, because I was talking to someone just to get a grasp of everything going on, and I understand that Edo has 3 senatorial zones just like every other state, and so it's not his turn to become governor, just like the whole shading thing. We have the presidency system, but then he's like, I want to be in there, and the National Assembly is like, I mean,
okay. I mean, I'll actually
but it's a developing story.
And I'm sure we're going to exploit more on the show sometime soon. Okay, this one is the first time this probe came up, I was very disappointed. I won't even say quite, because Betta Edu is one person that I had hoped was going to give us that. That time we were talking about all of the ministers that had been appointed in the cabinet, and then we're talking about the women and all of that. And so it was so disappointing to hear that she then had, all of this drama. So, I mean, the former currently suspended Minister of Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, has been probed, and so it's also a developing story. But then the headline reads, Nigeria recovers $24 million in Poverty Alleviation Minister investigation. That's an equivalent of 30 billion naira. And then the funds were traced to more than 50 bank accounts. The Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation Minister Betta Edu was initially suspended in January over the alleged diversion of $640,000 of public money into a personal bank account. The president then ordered an investigation into her ministry. And at the time, she denied any wrongdoing, saying that her office had approved the transfer into a personal account, which was not in her name, but was set for the implementation of grants to vulnerable groups. The EFCC said during its nearly 6 weeks of investigating so far, it had found many angles to examine. And as it is now, they're investigating over 50 bank accounts that they've traced money into, and that's no child's play. That is a big deal, and this was said by the chairman, Ola Olukoyede. He has urged Nigerians seeking redress to give the agency time to finish its probe thoroughly, saying that they're exploring so many discoveries that they found, and it is about seeing people, and if it's about seeing people in jail, well, you guys should wait. Everything has a process to follow, and this is what he said. As the suspension of a minister is actually a rare occurrence in Nigeria. It's not something that happens all the time.
There's a lot of rare occurrences in the country
in the
right
past,
now.
In the
and
past
the
1
EFCC
year,
seems to be working
a
overtime.
whole lot more, yes.
Which I think it's a good thing,
it?
yes. But better, I don't
In fact,
know.
I'm lost for words. I don't know what to
There's
say.
just something in me that hurts. Yes, I know she has this close relationship with Tinubu, which, I mean, it's wise of Mr. President to just take his hands off and, like, you know, stay suspended. I'm not going to get involved in this, you know, because if he gets involved, it's a bad record for him. And trust me, I don't think he wants to go there. But there is also something in me that feels hurt when I see beautiful people commit crimes. Call me a little biased, but I just it hurts. Like Bessa is such a beautiful woman.
For that.
Yes. And literally, there's this belief that beautiful women have the world crawling at their feet. So all these things saying you're going to what is it, Kogi, you're flying to Kogi and Kogi doesn't have an airport. I don't like. It just.
Sassy.
Yeah, it was when the story developed. It was one of the.
I think for me, it's just very annoying that in Africa, you know, or even the world, where so many women are struggling to get a seat at the table, you get a seat at the table, and then this is what happens. It's like taking 10 steps back for a lot of other women.
Right.
Because, of course, I mean, this is Africa, and there would always be, well, when we gave women the chance, the opportunity, even though it is a right, because we're both nation builders, you know, but it's just very sad. And, you know, for me, personally, I had this very strong feeling, or I was really, in fact, I think I almost fought friends, you know, to say, oh, she was set up. No, it can't be her. You know, there's just something hanky-panky. And then this comes out. She's just very disappointing.
And you know what hurts is the fact that when it's a woman, it's louder.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Diazani? Remember Stella Odua?
Yeah,
and now we have Edu.
Absolutely.
And then what's this?
The other ministers.
Bayani or so in the north.
Yeah. That particular ministry, there's something good. They should scrap it. That's just it.
Okay, before we delve into how the women are disappointing us, I mean, I can't wait for us to have the conversation for tonight, and considering that we also have an expert in the finance sector to continue this conversation. But first, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll delve into the conversation. See you after the break.
Really, so which is where we have to, you know, begin to look at the things that we consume, the things that we take in, so that we can, you know, watch how it goes, because our body doesn't really break it down so much. And then also as we evolve, we begin to find out that some food doesn't sit well with us. There are people that are lactose intolerant, for example. There are people that can't handle gluten very well, for example, like me. And then you need to be aware of those, you know, food, and then it then guards what you do. It also guards the activities that you do as well, because sitting down too long also because you're an adult is also a problem. You don't move around as much as a child, you know, just flowing from that space. And that's really what it is, actually. We corporate organizations, encouraging them to create wellness spaces, because they benefit in the long run, right? They will spend less on health insurance schemes. They'll spend less. They will have less situations of absenteeism, because no people will be. So it promotes the overall productivity of the organization, really. So that's what an angle where I will come from.
Yes. Over time,
once it peels off, the peeling off that is going into the food that you're eating.
Isn't that when you use a metallic spoon?
It doesn't matter. Over time, non-stick pots would eventually lift. Right. They would lift. You know, the material that they use inside would eventually lift out, and then a lot of people don't throw it away anyway. You keep using it, and then a lot of people also don't use wooden spoons when they're touring their food. When we were growing up, they used to use wooden stick. And then there was the packer that they used to pack the food. It was wooden.
In March 2024, the value of the Nigerian Naira relative to the US dollar increased dramatically, signaling a substantial shift in Nigeria's exchange rate strategy. According to the official data, the Naira increased from 1,595 Naira per dollar at the end of February 2024 to 1,309 Naira per dollar on the final trading day of the month. This 21.8 gain indicates that the Central Bank of Nigeria, through a number of FX policies, initiatives and interventions, have been successful in stabilizing and bolstering the value of the country's currency. However, economists have stated that it will take some time for Nigerians to feel the impact of the current strengthening of the Naira against the dollar on the prices of commodities in the country. So tonight, we're assessing the potential benefits and challenges of a stronger Naira with Akin Fatunke. Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation or send an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-8038-4663. The number again to SMS and WhatsApp to is 081-8038-4663. I mean, I remember that we were just having the conversation about how the prices of commodities have not necessarily dropped, even though we can now see the Naira, you know, trying to, I mean, let me hear your thoughts on this, ladies.
Well, I'm looking forward to price of goods going down in the market. It's not even funny. Honestly, Nigeria, a pack of noodles that used to be like 4,000 something, 5,000 something, that is the noodles, one we all use, is now almost 11,000, almost 12,000. Then the other, you don't hear that 30?
Yeah.
Then the other supplements that we would use that would sell for like 2.8, 3.2, that one is about 7,000 Naira right now. And see, don't call me vain, but my cream, not cream, soap, like triple the price. My favorite lip balm that I got for 1,000, no, we are being real, Abby. My favorite lip balm that I got for 1,350 the other time, it finished within 1 month because I use it a lot. I went back to get it. It is now 3,450. It's just lip balm. Who did I?
Who did you offend?
Who did I offend? Do you understand? And I'm thinking, at the speed that everything increased, why are we not seeing the same speed with the decrease? Sure. You know, why does it have to take time for everything to go back to normal? Meanwhile, it just took the slip to the floor off our feet.
Blink of an eye.
Okay, so let me quickly answer that, if I may.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you have a lot of people who trade, you know, who have to buy goods. And their argument would be that they bought at the price, you know, where the dollar was quite high, you know, the exchange rate and all that. So if they drop their prices, then who takes the, you know, who bears the cut? You understand? I mean, how would they gain on the shortfall?
Oh,
you
like
understand?
Stocked up.
Exactly, because they already stocked up and all that. But again, I mean, I know that in a society where there is some form of price stability, they are actually supposed to spread it over time and, you know, not necessarily pass on the burden to the consumer. But, well, this is Nigeria. And the honest truth, or the sad truth, is even when they start stocking new inventory
based on
and
the
all
current
that,
prices,
they would still want to sell at the old price. Very few.
That one is greed now.
You know, but like you rightly said about Indomie, I was reading something online that said Indomie brought out a notice to say that their price had dropped to 6,000 plus.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that's a developing story for today, because
I mean, they are a manufacturing company, and I mean, people eat. So imagine if people decide to say, okay, you know what, we suddenly lost our taste for Indomie.
For noodles.
Yeah. For noodles. Well, I mean, that's going to be, you know, something else. But, I mean, speaking about today's topic, I know that it's very ironic to say that there are advantages and disadvantages to Naira gaining. But
are there disadvantages?
Yeah, and disadvantages.
Well,
kind of,
well,
yeah. You know, kind of, you know. But I would say that definitely, you know, Naira gaining is actually very desirable. I mean, I'm all for that. Yeah. But the most important thing would be that we ensure the sustainability of this, I think
gain. I think that's the key thing.
That's the key
Not
thing.
that in another 2 months we're then looking and saying, oh, it's
exactly.
Well, thankfully, we have an expert tonight who's going to be speaking to us on this, and it's no other person than Mr. Akin Fatsunke. I hope I got that correctly. Akin Fatsunke is the CEO of Chronicler and Associates, their communication consultants, and he's also the managing partner of Akin Fatsunke & Co. They are chartered accountants. Akin is a JF Kennedy Junior Essay Scholar and has had varied managerial exposures in Mobile's fundamental accounting, finance, and services functions. He won the Chairman Service Excellence Award and has excellent interpersonal skills accreditation. To Akin, excellence, loyalty on the job, respect for others, and responsibility for one's actions are uncompromising ethos. He's an alumnus of the Lagos Business School Advanced Management Program and past president of his AMP 2022 class set. His class, under his leadership, won the President's Award consecutively for 2 years, and I must say that is pretty interesting. Good evening, Mr. Akin. Nice to have you on the show tonight. Thank you for coming.
So nice of you to have me here with you.
Great.
And I'm so pleased to join you and on ways and means and to hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Okay, so let's just dive into the topic real quick. I mean, we've actually seen the volatility and the depreciation of the Naira. We've seen through that. We've seen how that has affected the Nigerian economy as well. And we've also looked at the analysis and seen the factors that have driven the Naira's surge in terms of its rise and its fall as well. So my very first question to you would be, what have been the primary factors that have contributed to the appreciation of the Naira? So let's start from there. That's like the bedrock for this conversation. What have been the factors that have contributed to the appreciation of the Naira?
I will not want to bust your bubble, my dear ladies. Just like you, when you started, you were talking about your cream, you were talking about your wigs, you were talking about your lace, you were talking about your iPhones, and all that. So, likewise, me speaking with you, I'm talking about my iPhone, I'm talking about my high end, and then we're talking about my belts, talking about you are even also talking about Indomie noodles, survival. What perhaps you did not say is life sustainability, where drugs are out of the reach of the holo polloi. So, what has caused this? Our inordinate appetite for imported goods against what we can produce locally. Our taste buds will be for the complex that comes from out there against our NASCO that is produced here. Our ogi and soya beans that is now being taken by Chinese and Ghanaians, turning our jollof rice and added value where we can add such values here. You know, a fella called it colo mentality of a sort. So everything and all our palette has been turned into imports, and demand for imports, including toothpicks. Now, we now move a notch further. One other factor that has fueled this inexorably is the almighty sea in the room, in the compunction. And what is the almighty sea? You and I know it. It is corruption in high places. We are people that we have placed to superintend our affairs. You call it the monetary, and you look at the CBN and then the banks and you know, the financial institutions down the line, and then the other policy aspects that collapse to give us an orchestra, which will be the real commanding heights. Talk of agriculture, talks of education, talk of investments in infrastructures. There are about 17 SDG goals, that is, you know, sustainable development goals. And over time, and depending on how far you want to go, you see that we have just chalked red. I am surprised you ladies are still there. You have not jackpot yet. You know, I mean, so many things that is going on. The universities are closed for the better parts of the time. Young ladies like yourself, I dare say, because I have, you know, absolute respect for ladies. You know what happened some 13, 14 years ago, you know, the cheaper girls, the Dapchi girls, capturing our ladies and then sending them into exile. Ladies that will ordinarily be as horned as you. So now, when that happened, the managers of the economy, and I like to say that we now drive it down, decided to begin the big C in terms of corruption, rather than we sit down, create, you know, enabling environment that will make us produce what we can consume. We went into mass consumption. One of the ways that happened was that we had, unfortunately, a central bank governor within the last maybe 12 years, who believed that he was not going to concentrate his mind on the core function of what a central bank governor should be, and at the height of it, wanted to be the president of Nigeria under the APC, and then went into printing of money by way of ways and means. Governor Baseki hinted early enough that they governors were getting printed money that is not backed by real production, and when this money is taken, what the subnational governments did was to take it and then begin to come and compete in the foreign exchange market. Now, get it right. This is money that is not backed, you know, in economic terms by any factor of production and productivity. So it's like false money, like the DME type of going to print, asking the CBN to print money. Now you take it and then you come to the real sector, you come to the CBN with active connivance of very bad people in the monetary side, decide to come and through the borrow the change and through the black market begin to speculate for foreign exchange. And what then happened? exchange rate went off the roof. Significantly also is that we have factor endowment in agriculture. Nigeria has arable land that can produce food 24 to 25 times the size that Israel, as small as it is, or Ukraine, as relatively small as it is doing. But what have we done? We have refused to invest in critical areas. We have been bedeviled by insecurity. It's now took center stage. Farmers cannot go to farm, and those who are abroad who have decided to bring in their hard-earned money to put on farms are being despoiled. And this was at a time government looked the other side. We had rainfall that will always naturally, unfortunately, the irrigating dams that have been created many years back have not been deepened, and we went into an arrangement with Cameroon, and they had a Lagdo dam, and we said, look, before you release any water, please let us know in return for our brotherliness. But it became impossible, and so in the last 2-3 years, you will have seen our farmlands being overrun by flood and virtually taking off the little that we were able to produce.
Yes.
Now, what now then this has done is to shoot off what we call food inflation, which today is hovering over 30%. You can imagine hovering over 30% when scarcity is on. The last that I will mention among the factors, ladies, is the fact that this ubiquitous deregulation that we have always been talking about, we are talking about the PMS, petroleum motor spirits, which is gulping, and then we have portfolio investors who do a lot of a bit of turnaround, and our refineries not working. Luckily, that is now being clawed back, hopefully. So the very few dollars that we had, it's pursuing so much demand and so much excesses. That basically, in a nutshell, is the factors I can put just within the limited time I have now to where we are at.
Okay, Mr. King, thank you very much. I mean, that's encompassed a whole lot. Put everything in perspective. Like Sanzi would say, like explain to a 5-year-old. Right? I don't think there's anybody that would have listened to this and not actually understood, what these factors are. But then before we continue the conversation, let's take a very short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned. Tuned in, it's our ladies' night out, and we're discussing the topic, assessing the potential benefits and challenges of a stronger Naira with Akin Fatanke. Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-8038-4663. So before we went on the break, Mr. Akin had just highlighted comprehensively, actually, some of the factors that have actually affected the rise and the fall of the Naira. But then Sanzi had a question. Sanzi, please go ahead.
I have a couple of them actually, but I think I'll just ride with the first one that hit the top of my head, and that's from the conversation I had with you before he joined us, Diola, about the fact that there are advantages and disadvantages of Naira gaining against the dollar. And so, Mr. Aki, my question is this. It is difficult for the average Nigerian to comprehend if there really is a disadvantage in the fact that Naira is gaining. So aside from people who are hoarding, the first question is it that we don't have enough dollars or we have more people hoarding dollar? That's one. And then the second one is, what could possibly be a disadvantage to Naira gaining against the dollar? That's aside from the hoarders, people who just naturally hoard the dollar currency. Is there any disadvantage whatsoever for the average Nigerian?
A lot of disadvantage, I dare say. Call it hoarding. Yes, I call it speculation. People who are just not prepared to work, but sit down somewhere because of petrodollars, increase population in quantums, and then, of course, expect that at the end of the month, you go somewhere and then go and share money. Is there a disadvantage? The truth is that the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. And the only way, there's a notion that I have to correct. Yes, there's no doubt that Nigeria is bedeviled with corruption, but all human beings are bedeviled with corruption. If you put corruption near the door that people will just stroll in, stroll out, and be able to take, they will do. It's only when you have very strong institutions as we have presently, I dare say, the central bank getting back to its core function of trying to help tame inflation. A very grave disadvantage of a poor Naira run like we have is that poverty will be exacerbated. Unemployment will go up the roof. The nano industries will just not be there. And then there is something that we call a Gini coefficient. That's when economists want to kind of confuse you. What that is saying is that very few people will sit on the wealth of the nation in terms of income distribution, highly skilled. Pareto analysis wise, maybe 20%. They will have everything that you can think of. And then the remaining 80% will be in abject poverty. So when this Naira, great disadvantage is that the poverty will continue, people will continue to multiply, having children, so now have IDP camps spread all over without the cognate capacity to feed. You will then begin to do ways and means, just going to be printing Naira. You begin to do what you call humanitarian affairs, look for little money, put it there, that people will go sit and go and virtually steal. You begin to see cost of governance as we have in Nigeria. We call ourselves a federation, which is a very big lie. We are more of a unitary state, and then you begin to have at the federal level, at the National Assembly level, at the state governors level, at perhaps even at the judiciary level, these people that constitute the 20%, what do? As you have seen, they get in there, they begin to think of themselves. They are not actually thinking of what is going to happen to you and I. They're not talking about minimum wage. Even when distortions are now being corrected, you have to take the president to begin to beg, since he doesn't have that constitutional power to compel. Please pay this minimum wage, 30,000. Supplemented minimum wage not done. We are still not talking about all those. So, as a matter of fact, historically, as a student of economics, evidence has really confirmed that the trajectory of the poverty that I have just stated to you in Nigeria correlates loyally to the curve of the depreciation of the Naira. Now, because of this speculation, what you call hoarding, just sit down without doing any work, and you begin to speculate, and then the CBN will go out there and begin to allocate, our hard-earned, little hard-earned, either to do pilgrimages, and we ourselves end up with our palate for for foreign goods, and so we continue to have what we call a dumping, and when you put all that together, the inflation rate, whether the urban inflation, the food inflation, that we have, it's hovering about 29%. Now, our parents who are pensioners and who are still alive at an inflation rate of about 30%, therefore means that in the next 5 years, if it's not tamed, if it's not curtailed, they will be losing about 150% of their earnings. Can you imagine that? Life expectancy naturally will go lower than 45. 50, 40, 48, 40, 50 people will not be able to feed, and then the younger ones that are supposed to be contributing adequately will then find themselves jackpying. So it is only when we now have a headmaster, and by the way, we have a central bank governor in Dr. Yemi Cardoso. He used to be called the headmaster when he was in planning and budget in Lagos State. Now then comes and says, look, I am going to close my eyes and make sure that my advisory will be on monetary stability, on monetary inflation curtailing, very, very tall, very, very tall, very, very, very tall ambition. And when this now begins to come down, and I heard you when you were making the point that why are we not finding that translated almost immediately? Human behavior, and in any case, economics is lag. It's like going out to the farm now and planting a seed of corn. You are not going to get, the corn cobs come out the following day. It will still have to take time. You have to tend it. You have to make sure that you put the right policy in place for it to continue on a free run. So the benefit of some of the things that we are witnessing in terms of the Naira coming down by way of trickles right now will not manifest itself until a bit of a future. However, ceteris paribus, that is a concept that economics will tell you. Ceteris paribus, we maintain the discipline, we cut our coat according to our cloth, we begin to lead with capacity and competence. We begin to say to ourselves, no, certain things will not happen, and character is going to be much more in terms of the people that should be leading us and not ruling us. And each and every one of us see those horses in front doing the good run, we will be able to follow. But when we see that they are not doing what needs to be done, and then we are back to policies in place that we have, and you've seen a retinue of them. Dollar-denominated loans should not be out there, and the central bank breathing down to say that it's going to be more of regulation, more of control.
Misaki, I'm afraid that we really have a lot of questions for you. Misaki, can you hear us? We really do have a lot of questions for you, but we seem to be dwelling on one particular question for a long time. If you don't mind, we would like to move on to other questions. Is that okay?
That's very fine with me.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to ask that in respect to the Naira gaining, what sectors of the Nigerian economy would stand to gain at this time, and which would not, which would be losing, which would be facing challenges, with the Naira appreciation?
With Naira appreciation, all sectors of the economy will gain. We are going to begin to see the reality in terms of curbing and doing what we call local content in terms of what we produce. we are going to begin to see that the dollar denominated revenue, which distortingly has not helped, is going to, with adequate control and with the adequate national, well, at the federal level and at subnational level, begin to do things. You are beginning to see situations where monies that have been saved from maybe removal of fuel subsidy, in addition to trying to align the foreign exchange that is now coming down, now means that there's going to be more money to the states. It therefore means workers naturally, in terms of minimum wage, should be a given. Who is going to lose? The people that are going to lose are the people that have despoiled us, and they are going to fight back. They are the ones that are benefiting from the rot that we have. And so if we can get all these other acts together in no distant time, we'll be in winning ways again.
Yeah, I mean, I quite agree with that. But then at the same time, I also think that it might also, and these are my thoughts, by the way, I think that the growing of the Naira, or the strength of the Naira, might some way harm exports competitiveness, right? If I can put it that way. And also for those who have foreign exchange financial burdens as well, that might also increase that for them. But I think that what's key is us being able to balance these factors enough for us to be able to experience sustainable economic change or economic growth, as the case may be. But however, all said, after all that we have said, I strongly believe that Mr. Acme has hit the nail on the point, right? It feels like I just sat in an economics lecture actually. And thank you so much for that. But then let's just have final words, just very quickly, say like 2 minutes, your final words on this.
Hammer down on that. Our national debt would much more efficiently run. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. And then, by way of import substitution, we have more of the creatives. I mean, you ladies are looking very beautiful there. Just look at our dresses, look at our textile, look at our agri, and I can tell you for free, all eyes are going to be on Nigeria. My final word, we keep the distance, we keep the discipline, we keep the focus, and on the policy aspect, we look again at the constitution of Nigeria and make it real physical in a way that's going to be equitable for everybody. I'm looking forward to a day that I'm going to have a woman president. I hope one of you will be. Absolutely. And I'll be supporting. They are all entangled. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Ladies, any final words before we go?
I mean, like you rightly said, we keep the focus, we stay strong, and I hope that we continue to have the political will, to back this up and ensure that there is sustainable change.
Great.
I mean, for me, I would say, for whatever reason that the Naira was floated, whether it was to settle foreign debt, which 87 trillion Naira is a lot of money. That's over $100 and something billion. It's a lot. I hope they eventually find a solution to it, because otherwise all this suffering and crazy inflation that we all went through would be for nothing. So I'm really looking forward to them telling us, oh, we're down to 47 trillion or something like that. And maybe we give IMF a break and stop loaning.
I know,
yes,
right?
Please.
I look forward to the day when that would actually stop,
borrowing.
Because that's one of the things that's actually killing us.
When we stop depending
we're
on
constantly
on
borrowing,
oil.
and we can generate so much.
Mr.
Akin talked about our arable lands and the fact that, how tiny Israel is?
What?
Israel is such a tiny land, tiny country, and imagine the food they're producing, and then Nigeria with all our lands, we're importing everything.
It's quite a pathetic situation, I know. Anyway, before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at Wayshow Africa and Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our social media engagements. And remember to like, share, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch us and follow us. It was quite an educative conversation tonight, and I would actually implore you to go back, watch, and share with your family and friends. If you missed today's quote, here it is again: the fact that prices go up and never come down is not peculiar to Nigeria, and this is by Professor Onokoya Adigbe. See you tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen again. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.